You
doing
can
yours
go.
now?
Yeah, you can go.
All right.
Or I can go either way.
It doesn't matter. I'm ready.
We just have to tell Jesse so he doesn't play
Press the right button. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say we could just let Jesse decide whichever one.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Because we might tell him and he may pick anyway.
I kind of hope he plays the. You know what we should do? We should just switch it on purpose. So if he plays the trade banger theme song, just come in with the player profiler.
He'll get so mad.
We're rebelling. We're rebelling against the intro songs.
Yeah.
We're live.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Behind the scenes outtakes, but they're in.
Chad Mendoza drops knowledge like a screen pass pop. Trade talk sizzling, he don't ever stop. Analyzing assets from tank to all-in swing. Sell high candidates to make the trade bell ring. Group chat heater with philosophies deep. Navigating the minefield where big dogs leap. Roster reshape for the long haul ahead. Chad's the Mendoza making rivals see red.
All right, welcome to the Trade Banger of the Week. I am Chad Mendoza, your host, and I'm joined here by my two buddies, Austin and Jesse, who are laughing for some reason. I don't see anything funny here. Well, we had a plan in place, Austin and I, and he bailed at the last second.
I did. I didn't want the producer to be mad.
I'm so mad at him, but talked about.
Should we restart?
No, I'm sorry. I just need water. Yeah, let's restart this.
Oh my God.
Chad Mendoza drops knowledge like a screen pass pop. Trade talk sizzling, he don't ever stop. Analyzing assets from tank to all-in swing. Sell high candidates to make the trade bell ring. Group chat heater with philosophies deep. Navigating the minefield where big dogs leap. Roster reshape for the long haul ahead. Chad's the Mendoza making rivals see red.
This is the Trade Banger of the Week. I'm your host, Chad Mendoza. I'm joined here by my buddies, Austin Bell and Jesse Schneeman. How's it going, guys?
I'm awesome. I mean, I'm great.
Phenomenal.
I'm like, are you? Are you though?
I am.
No, you are. Awesome. You are pretty awesome.
Austin, I'm sorry. Fun fact: the Siri at work calls me Mr. Awesome.
That is not a flex.
Oh, Alexa. Sorry.
You programmed a device to give you a
did.
compliment.
Well, the fact that he knew how to do that's impressive.
That is impressive. That is impressive.
Good job, Justin.
Good job. Austin, how are you doing, man?
Oh, dude, I'm phenomenal, man. Ready to talk about a big old trade, I hope.
Yeah, nice. Big old trade. We got 3 on one side, 3 on the other. We got Justin Herbert, George Pickens, and Brock Bowers going one way. The other way, we got Drake Maye, Malik Nabers, and Tucker Kraft. Some interesting names here, all really valuable players. I think Tucker Kraft probably is the one player that maybe is not quite in the same category as the other guys, but also tight ends pretty weak. So this is a tight end premium league that holds value in itself. Guys, I want to start with Justin Herbert just because I know Jesse is fangirling already. Talk to me here. Let's compare the two quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Drake Maye, where you guys sit on them in your rankings. We have ranked the quarterbacks already, but just for the listeners here, talk about them a little bit. I'll start off with you, Jesse.
Well, I mean, I do have May ranked above Justin Herbert. I'm not crazy. Let me find the QB tab. My rankings aren't in here. I think I had Herbert at 5.
Okay.
I was very high on him. Maybe 6. I think 5 rings a bell. Yeah, but there is a gap there.
Okay. So 2 separate tiers for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, because I know you.
Yeah, no, that's good enough. That's good enough. So Austin, with Justin Herbert and Drake Maye, I know you have a tier difference as well for these two guys, if not 2 tiers. Is it 1 or 2?
I think it's 2. Yeah, it's 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2. He would be the start of that next tier. So I'm kind of flirting with the bottom of the other tier, but.
For you, I know Jesse's really high on Herbert, but for you, do you see any world where like the upside, right? Because we know Drake Maye is kind of at his peak right now. He's QB2, he can move QB1, but some people already have him QB1, right? There's not really much upward mobility there. But with Justin Herbert, theoretically there is, right?
For sure.
Some people have him QB8, QB9. Do you see any world in which Justin Herbert catches Drake Maye? Maybe Drake Maye drops a little bit. Herbert, we see a little bit of a rise this season. Where's your kind of outcome, your range of outcomes for these guys?
Yeah, of course it's possible. I mean, just with Jesse's thought process on Herbert and the Chargers offense, if that happens and May doesn't replicate what we saw last year, there's no reason to say that Herbert couldn't be right there neck and neck with him. I mean, Herbert is a fan favorite in Dynasty because of the talent, because of the aura, because of year 2 putting up 5,000 yards. So, he definitely has the name value to jump back into that top quarterback 2, 3, 4 range for Dynasty. We just haven't seen it in a while. So range for sure. It's absolutely a possibility.
Okay. Yeah, it's one part of the trade. I like this trade a lot because it's 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, or 2 wide receivers rather, sorry, and 2 tight ends. So we'll just go down the line, compare these guys, and then we'll just say, hey, is the difference really making up, are we seeing the difference being made up in this trade? Is it relatively even, or do we prefer one side, and maybe why do we prefer that side? Just to let you guys know where we're going here. But next we got George Pickens and Malik Nabers being swapped. And Malik Nabers, Austin, I know you're really high on him. You have him as your wide receiver 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
In your rankings. And Pickens, obviously we all think really highly of him. We saw that even though he is the wide receiver 2 in that offense, there's going to be many, many weeks in which he is the wide receiver 1 in that offense. And he has potential to be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy this season. What's the value difference for you guys is just what I'm straight up going to ask you.
Huge.
Yeah, it's probably an early 27 first. My issue with Pickens is I'm not sure he can reach near the ceiling Nabers can, no matter what the variables are. Outside of him going to attached to a young quarterback, like leaving Dallas and producing huge this year and leaving Dallas and going to an offense that needs an alpha, it's the only way I can see him gaining much more value than where we have him now, which is roughly wide receiver 10, something like that. I just don't see how much higher he can really go in the Dynasty landscape. So probably an early 27 first would be what it would take for me to make that change because of what I think Nabers can become.
That's an interesting point about, the potential of him moving teams, because we know that he's playing on the franchise tag this season, and there is the potential for him moving to a different organization after the year, especially if he has a really good season and the Cowboys have to give him that, top 5, top 6 wide receiver contract that we know are very, very lucrative right now. Jesse, is there a world for you where he moves teams? Like, let's say this is best case scenario and what this guy is thinking. Like, hey, I want Pickens this year because I think he's going to be very productive, and then also I do think he sees a value spike because I'm just going to say I think there's a possibility of him moving teams. Does that do anything for you, or are you kind of seeing him in the same range at his peak?
Yeah, I do think he's at his peak, and I think without Dak, he's very scary. He's very volatile. Put him on any kind of in any kind of questionable situation, and I'm scared to death of him, and he's closer to a wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's closer to a low end wide receiver 2.
Oh wow, okay.
That's because that's what he's been in the past. That's what he's shown us in the past when he's not in an ideal situation.
Yeah, Dak's such a good quarterback when healthy.
Yeah. And like
receivers.
Like you said in the main episode when we talked about wide receivers, the Cowboys just throw the ball like crazy. So if there's any offense that you think the secondary wide receiver is going to get peppered with targets, it's that one. So I don't think he's that much of an alpha that he just can go anywhere and eat. I think it's pretty QB dependent. Like I said, without Dak, he's scary. So now I don't see a value spike. In fact, I'm looking to get off my Pickens shares at a reasonable profit at some point this year.
Okay. Yeah, it's a interesting way to think about it. I'm not going to argue with either side, really. I can see it both ways. I think it's just kind of dependent on how you see the player. But there are some question marks there. You're absolutely right. The next guy the next part of the trade that we have here is Brock Bowers and Kraft, and we know this is not obviously this trade is not a straight up even trade 1-for-1 across the board. So we're not going to really compare the two players. We'll talk about them separately here because I think they have a little bit of a kind of independent situations going on where you can raise some questions and concerns. Brock Bowers, we know where his value is. He's borderline unobtainable. It's him, Trey McBride, and that's really it for the AAA plus tier. We can call it S tier. Are you guys nervous at all about these injuries that are going on and some of the
ACL
offseason
injury scares me. Yes. He's already got taped up again this preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. It worries me. It's when did that happen? That was what, early to mid season last year when it.
Yep, or I think early. I think it was early.
Yeah. Are we talking about Kraft?
No, we're talking about Bowers.
Oh, Bowers. Okay.
And he's taped up again. I just don't like that, man. That's what, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that scares me. We've seen. I can't remember the two players it's happened the past 2 years on. I wish y'all would, but I can't. There's two other players that had PCL injuries just nag them, and Kincaid was one of them.
Okay.
Kincaid could not stay healthy last year. That knee flared up multiple times. So
and it's not better. It's not better this year, by the way.
Exactly. So that is definitely worrisome for me.
And it's interesting because it's not just that we know he's a really talented player, obviously, but it's not just that he has the injuries and they're nagging and they can go on all year. It's that I think he has a pretty good, maybe even above average receiving tight end behind him.
Yeah.
So it's not like, him coming back into the game, if he does find himself in the same situation as he was last year where he's in and out, they're going to wipe Michael Mayer completely off the board. He's still going to have a role in that offense, which makes it a little bit more scary, at least in my opinion. Jesse, where are you at with that one?
Well, I mean,
just overall, not Michael Mayer specifically, just overall thoughts.
Yeah. Well, look at Tucker Kraft's health is a huge.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay. As far as Bowers' health, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah,
Is
Bowers.
that what you're asking me? Yeah, where am I at with Bowers?
Yeah.
Like you said, unattainable. I'm not paying what it takes to get him, and I just doubt anybody would give me what I'd want for him. It would be something like Malik Nabers.
Okay. Which is basically what's going on in this trade, right? Is
kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of how I viewed it.
Yeah, Pickens and Kraft are probably more of the comparison, I guess.
Yeah. So Kraft, right? We talked about him a little bit in our group chat. I think it was where a little bit of the concerns we maybe have with him is that the position is so depleted right now that we're finding any reason to raise the ceiling of these guys, and pretend that there's something they haven't shown us they are. Tucker Kraft in both the seasons that we've seen, the last 2 seasons, he's started off extremely hot, propped up by incredible games with a high number of touchdowns. And then the rest of the season after, the first quarter of the season, he just hasn't been able to maintain that. And it's happened almost exactly the same way each of the past 2 seasons. This past year was due to injury. The season before that, it was due to just regression. Are you guys paying the tight end 5 price for him that people seem to have him pegged at right now, and what I think this trade has him pegged at specifically?
Well, no. And Tucker Kraft just came out himself and said that he'll be on a snap count until at least halfway through the year.
Oh, so wow. I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's not good. So, I mean, and that's to be expected. That was a late ACL tear. So to expect him to just go out and be Tucker Kraft in the first half this year, it's not going to happen, and you're going to see a value drop.
Yeah.
So no, sure. I'm not paying that price for him. And even if, let's say he was 100% healthy, that's a sketchy bet anyway. He's very touchdown dependent, and to think that the Packers are going to run their entire offense through Tucker Kraft, which I've heard as a notion going around in the fantasy community lately that the Packers want to run their offense through Tucker Kraft. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. It's just not going to happen. He's not that level of talent, even when 100% healthy, and he's not. So, no, I'm happy that I started trading away my Tucker Kraft shares last year. It's a little bit of a sucker bet right there.
Yeah, Austin, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm looking at rankings tight ends currently, and really what this tells me is there's only 4 guys I want.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, which really, really sucks. Like I'm looking at Fanning, and there's so many question marks there with the change in the scheme and the quarterback situation, and 2 drafted receivers, and Laporta. What is that offense going to be? What we saw last year is not going to suffice for the price you have to pay for Laporta. And then it goes to Pitts and Sadiq, and then maybe a vet like Kittle. You know, it's
I would I don't know if this is how you feel. I don't want to speak for you, but you're saying there's only 4 tight ends you want, and I feel similarly, but I would kind of rephrase it as there's only 4 tight ends I think are worth paying a premium for. The rest of them, there's some guys I want further down the list, but I want them for what they should cost. And there's just not that many guys out there that are at face value good buys at the moment.
There are a couple of guys that I think could get to that tier.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like Laporta and Kincaid, I think the dream is over as far as being in the elite tier. I don't think it's ever going to happen for either one of them. They both could have solid years or spike years at any point in their career, but I don't think they're ever going to be seen by the Dynasty community as like in that elite tier or even in that secondary elite tier with like Loveland and Warren. But I think Fannin could get there. Yes, there are a lot of questions, but I'm saying I think he could get there. I don't think he's there.
I agree.
And I think Gadsden could get there as well.
Yeah. I'm not out on Gadsden, but what I was kind of saying with the 4 guys is that when I look at my tight end position, the starter, there's only 4 that I'm happy about. I mean, sure,
that makes sense.
There's other guys that I could feel good about, or maybe that have some excitement, like Brenton Strange. There aren't many other ones, but there are some guys that, if he's in there, it's fine.
But I'm big on Brenton Strange, but I don't think he'll ever get to that tier either.
And I don't feel good him being my starting tight end.
No.
It's okay.
Well,
okay with
the great thing about not feeling good about any of those guys starting is that there are only 4 guys in your league that feel great about the guys that are starting at tight end. Yeah. So you're not alone. That's the majority of people, and that's kind of the fun part of the position. If you want to, look at it glass half full, is if you do your homework and you really look at these guys and try to make some predictions on who could make the leap. I mean, you're sitting on a gold mine if you make the right pick.
Yeah, I mean, I have multiple leagues where I have Bowers, McBride, and or Loveland and Warren. That's just what I do. I do that. I draft ends and
I have a bunch of McBride and Bowers.
Yeah,
people hate me in those leagues.
And
I also had Kraft in 2 of those leagues and traded them away. You just have to be able to identify the guys that you trade away when they spike in value.
Yeah. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, and we've alluded to. I brought up a conversation that we had in our Discord, shameless plug, a few days ago, where somebody asked about a Tucker Kraft trade, and we went into a little bit of a deep dive on him. So I'll just read a little bit about it because we've alluded to it here. But in the first 9 weeks of 2024, he had 2 games where he was the highest scoring tight end, got everybody excited. 1 game where he was the 9th highest scoring tight end, and 1 game where he was 11th highest scoring tight end. The second half of the season really just fizzled out, wasn't kind of up to muster there. And he had 1 finish better than tight end 12 and finished tight end 9 overall, which, I mean, anybody that's paid attention to tight ends, tight end 9 is just really not cutting it. That's your average Joe Schmo. Anybody can do that in a given year. And then in 2025, which was last year that everybody was so excited about, again, 2 games where he finishes the highest scoring tight end, exact same. 1 game where he finished tight end 8. The year before, he had the 1 game where he finished tight end 9. 1 game finished at tight end 11. again, the previous year had one game where he finished tight end 11, and the rest was tight end 15 or worse, and then he got injured. So it's the same story here. We see this with a bunch of different players, but the difference is at other positions when we have players in the same boat where they get off to a hot start for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, we don't have them at wide receiver 5. We don't have them at running back 5. They're somewhere around RB20, RB22, and you can kind of pay those prices for the hope that they can get better and develop and make it a annual kind of production rather than a few weeks out the year. But getting back to the trade here, we have
one more name. I'm sorry, one more name that could jump up into that tier.
Yeah.
Technically, the dream is alive with Kenyon Sadiq.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Definitely has the receiving chops to do it. And
Isaiah Likely as well.
Isaiah Likely, another name that
we've seen the pop.
I
guess a young player, and he's still young.
Isaiah Likely's been the number one target in camp. Granted, Malik Nabers has not been there, but he's been the number one target in camp so far. So, should be interesting. But yeah, it's going to be hard for anybody to break through. But place your chips on the best bet that you think could make it, and only listen to your rankings, because obviously nobody has any idea what these guys are going to do right now.
Yeah.
It's really best to hoard tight ends. It's kind of what I like to do.
Yeah,
just give yourself 7 or 8 on every roster, and you're likely to end up with 2 or 3 that are sufficient.
You used to give me a hard time for that.
I did.
I'm glad.
That's because you had them all, and I couldn't get any of them.
Yeah. So back to the trade again. We'll just go over it really quickly. We had Justin Herbert, George Pickens, and Brock Bowers for Drake Maye, Malik Nabers, and Tucker Kraft. We kind of pinpointed where the dips are in value, where the ceiling is in value for some of these players. What side are you taking and why, Austin?
0.5 premium?
Yeah, 0.5 premium.
I think team 2, this is a really interesting trade. I think I'll take Maye, Nabers, and Kraft. My hesitation is Kraft because of what we just discussed, but I'm getting 2 elite pieces that I know are going to be elite dynasty pieces. Whereas on team 1 with the Herbert, Bowers, and Pickens, I'm getting technically 2 pieces, but I'm putting a half with Pickens and a half with Herbert. I don't know if Herbert's going to be elite QB. I don't know if Pickens is going to be elite receiver. Whereas I know Maye and Nabers are elite dynasty assets. So.
Let me ask you this, just because I know you have a little bit of concern with the Brock Bowers injury. And some of our listeners just may not care about that injury, may think it's really nothing. It's something that he's going to get over, and he's going to go back to being Brock Bowers and get right back to it. So let's for a second pretend it doesn't exist, right? He's healthy as healthy can be. He's going to be Brock Bowers that we know and love. Does that change anything for you?
It makes it a little bit easier. I mean, I like the trade both sides, to be honest with you. I would be happy receiving either side. It's just the elite asset piece. So I guess no, technically not. I don't see Pickens or Kraft becoming elite pieces, and there's an avenue for Herbert, but there's also an avenue for not. Whereas I'm getting 2 with Maye and Nabers.
Sweet. Same thing, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm on the Maye side, and it's not as close for me. The Bowers injury stuff isn't playing into it for me. He's elite. I know that I've seen him. I've seen what he can do, and I'm not worried about it. They will run that offense through him as long as he's on the field. The issue for me is that in a 0.5 premium, I'm not making a tight end the centerpiece of a trade, which is what I'd be doing if I took that side. So I'm taking quarterback and number 1 wide receiver. It's a priority for me positionally. Plus, I feel like I'm winning the trade on 2 sides. Yeah. Whereas on the other side, I'm just winning it on the Bauer side. I mean, that's sort of a simplistic way of looking at it. But if you take the difference, or maybe it's the delta between the increase you get with Bowers over Kraft, with the increase that you get over Maye and Nabers over the other 2 players, it weighs heavier on the Maye side for me.
Yeah. I think one other aspect of the trade to consider as well, because I don't think this trade is so lopsided that you can kind of rule out team build. I think it's really interesting because if you have a stack roster, right, and the one thing you're missing is tight end, and we just talked about it is the hardest position in Dynasty to acquire on an elite level, right? And you're saying to yourself, you know what? I'm selling high on Drake Maye. I'm selling Nabers when maybe he is a little scary. And I'm getting one of 4 players, and I'm going to have that advantage over the rest of the league because there are like we said, the majority of the league don't have one of those 4, right? Is that I guess maybe not for you guys because you guys picked the side of the trade, but can you understand somebody approaching the trade from that direction and saying, you know what, I just want to shore up this tight end spot?
Yeah, that's exactly why I think it's interesting.
I understand that. That person would also have to be as high on Herbert as I am, and they would have to have a reasonable hope that Herbert can put up similar numbers to me. If not, it's kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
What it would take for me would be for me to consider that side would be a 1.0 premium. So in a 1.0 premium where you see tight ends be some of the highest scoring players in the league, even over some of the higher scoring quarterbacks, that's when I would have to strongly
I would
consider. I would probably
take the other way.
Yeah, definitely. The other interesting aspect on it too is if you look at it from a pure points per game perspective, like, maybe somebody does want to shore up at tight end, and so they went the Brock Bowers side, or that's why they decided to do this trade. And then also, I can picture a world where George Pickens outscores Nabers this year again. I can understand a situation where Herbert is maybe 2-3 places in quarterback finishes away from Drake Maye, and maybe they come out and I think Brock Bowers is going to vastly outscore Tucker Kraft if he's anywhere close to being healthy. So I can understand how somebody gets through with this trade, but I'm with you guys. I'm taking the other side as well. Yeah, that's been the trade banger of the week. I really enjoyed this trade. It's one of those that I think gets the wheels going a little bit. Shout out to Dynasty Trade Calculator. It's one that they posted on Twitter, and I thought was too good for us not to talk about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you've got a trade that you want to talk about and you think is just as interesting as this one, or maybe it sucks, and I don't know, send it our way. We'll decide. You'll know if we use it or not. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Thanks for listening. Now go make someone overpay.